mercy and stomped all over him like it was personal. People thought he was waiting for round 2. But nah, Kendrick's already cleaned off those dirty Air Force Ones and walked away like a champ. He's not chasing another battle. He's claiming victory. No regrets, no apologies. Kendrick's making it clear he's nothing like Drake. He's drawing that bold line between what he stands for and what he sees as the fake toxic energy running through the industry. In this latest track, Kendrick tells us to watch the party die. But is Drake ready to shut it down? Or will he try to keep it going? Now here's where it gets spicy. It's not just Kendrick. The whole culture feels different now, like a wave of energy coming for Drake. Even big brands and major institutions seem to be joining forces to bring him down. And we gotta talk about academics. He's been one of Drake's last few loud supporters in the game.
If you think Drake finna abandon and forsake all them fans, you gotta realize this for the fans right here. You think he gonna let some pussy ass niggas have something over him, his legacy, and his fans? No. Just watch game 2, bro. Just watch game 2.
But where does he stand now? Academics was one of the last people riding for Drake, but it's looking like he finally realized. Drake might have just been using him for good PR. At one point, Drake told him there would be a round 2, but when Kendrick brought it up, suddenly, Drake went silent.
You think Drake shows you love?
Drake showed me a lot of love.
How? What's he do to show you love?
I got exclusive info.
That's not love. What do you do with that exclusive info? You say it to the world, you gas it up 10 times more. He's using you as a billboard, free promo. Showing you love is, yo, act, I'm in the city. Here's 10 tickets to my show. He sent Ice Spice a jet before he sent you one. Act, they could be dropping ass music, but you won't say that because you're in #1 fan.
Now even Academics is saying Drake never wanted a real bar-for-bar rematch in the first place. And it's not just him. Drake's circle is shrinking fast. Friends like Lil Yachty and Cardi, they're starting to look distant too. What's worse for Drake? His new songs are tanking. Hit after hit, just not hitting. He seems to be quietly clashing with his old label, unsure if he should try to clap back at Kendrick, or if round 2 might just break him for good. Now, when we talk about major forces trying to take Drake down, this isn't just talk. Just look at the moves being made outside of music too. One of the wildest moments? At the Democratic National Convention, when Kamala Harris was announced as the nominee, they played Not Like Us. Yeah, that one. The track that straight up calls Drake a PDF file, a colonizer, a scammer, all that. Imagine that. A diss track getting airtime at one of the biggest political events in years. That says a lot about how the higher-ups really feel about him. This wasn't some playful diss like Back to Back, where Drake poked fun at Meek Mill with lines like, "Is that a world tour or your girls' tour?" Nope. Not Like Us threw serious accusations at Drake. Real dark stuff. And yet, that track's getting played on some of the biggest platforms in the world. Speaking of massive stages, we gotta mention the VMAs. During intermission, you'd think they'd play something neutral, right? But no, what was bumping through the speakers? BBL Drizzy. And not even the remix with Drake. This was Metro Boomin's original version, with some guy singing about Drake's booty shots wild. But the biggest hit to Drake's image? Kendrick Lamar being announced to perform at the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show. Here's why that stings. Not Like Us is still the one song on Apple Music even 4 months later. So there's no way Kendrick doesn't perform it at the Super Bowl, even if he tweaks the lyrics to skip the PDF file stuff. Still, the whole world, over 100 million people, will be watching him celebrate that track and everything it stands for, right in front of Drake's face. That's a next-level power move. Kendrick Lamar's moves aren't just solo plays. There's clearly something bigger happening behind the scenes. And now, we gotta dig into what Academics has been saying lately. Because Kendrick just called him out in Watch the Party Die, and it's long overdue. I've followed Academics since his YouTube days back in 2015, but let's be real, the bias is wild. He's been riding hard for Drake for months, pushing his narrative like it's gospel. But now, it's looking like he finally got a wake-up call. He might be realizing he was just a pawn in Drake's clout game. Here's what went down. Academics recently reacted to Kendrick's new song and claimed Kendrick only dropped it to shift the spotlight away from Jay-Z getting backlash for picking him over Lil Wayne for the Super Bowl. Like seriously? That's the stretch of the year. Even crazier when Kendrick rapped, "They don't hate me, they hate the man I represent." Academics twisted it and said Kendrick represents hate, jealousy, lies, and hypocrisy. That's a heavy accusation. But let's keep it real. If we're talking about lies, and you want to call out Kendrick's bars about the PDF file or daughter rumors, then we gotta examine Drake's side too. Because a lot of this mess, it didn't just appear out of thin air. Drake's actions sparked plenty of it, and we're about to break that down next. So here's how it all started. Allegedly, before the beef fully kicked off, Kendrick and Drake had a convo. According to Joe Budden, Kendrick told Drake straight up, "Keep it friendly." This was right after Kendrick dropped "Like That," and that they both laid their cards on the table about how far they were willing to go. Then came Euphoria, where Kendrick warned Drake again to chill. This was after Drake threw a jab on push-ups, referencing Kendrick's fiancée with that line about bodyguards and Whitney. At that point, Kendrick was still trying to keep things focused on rap, not personal shots. See, Like That wasn't some petty diss. It was Kendrick saying he's better, period. Better than Drake, better than Cole. His message, his legacy. He believes it'll outlive all that flashy stuff Drake brings. It wasn't personal, it was about culture. Kendrick wanted the battle to be about values. Real rap versus what he sees as gimmicks. By going after Drake lyrically, Kendrick aimed to build up his own platform and reach more people with his message. At the same time, Drake's image starts slipping. Fans start questioning the stunts, and his cultural grip starts loosening. But then Drake changed the whole tone. He pressed the big red button. That's when he came with personal bombs, accusing Kendrick of abuse, claiming his son isn't really his, and dragging family stuff into it. That's when Kendrick flipped the script and dropped Meet the Grams, the track with all the wild accusations academics keeps calling lies. But let's be clear, Kendrick only went there after Drake crossed that line first. Those 30 minutes between Family Matters and Meet the Grams? That was Kendrick processing just how far Drake was willing to go. He heard the low blows Drake dropped and had to decide, do I match this energy or take it even further? Before that, Kendrick was letting Drake set the tone, and once Drake dragged family into it, Kendrick stuck to what he said on Euphoria. You take it there, I'm taking it further. And that's exactly what he did. So if folks are calling Kendrick a liar, then what do we call Drake? He accused Kendrick of abusing his fiancée and questioned the paternity of his child. But here's the truth. Whitney's own cousin did an interview recently clearing all that up, saying none of it's true. Plus, Whitney appears in the Not Like Us video, dancing with Kendrick and their kids, smiling, wearing a wife beater. Ask yourself, if she was truly being hurt like Drake claimed, would she even be there, much less dancing on camera like everything's solid? And let's not forget, Kendrick's working closely with Dave Free on his Super Bowl set and music videos. If Dave had secretly fathered Kendrick's kid like Drake alleged, would they still be building major projects together? Let's be real. Drake threw just as many wild claims as Kendrick did, if not more. He was the one who dragged this beef out of hip-hop territory and straight into messy family drama and tabloid-style chaos. And yet, academics still says Kendrick is the jealous one? If we're talking jealousy, let's not ignore Drake's own bars. Remember when he rapped, Kendrick just opened his mouth, "I'ma go hand him a Grammy right now," or "always rapping like you trying to get the slaves free, don't even go back to your hood and platinum money trees." That's not just shade, that's envy. Drake clearly feels some type of way about Kendrick being seen as the voice of the people, the savior of hip-hop, while he's often viewed as the one watering it down. That stings, and it shows. Then there's The Heart Part 6. Drake tried to spin it like he tricked Kendrick into running with fake info about a daughter. But that story fell apart quick. The trap Drake claimed he set? It was exposed as false. So if Kendrick's being labeled a liar, what does that make Drake? And let's not forget, The Heart Part 6 was supposed to end round 1. But the streets already picked a winner. Kendrick with Not Like Us going to 1. Since then, Kendrick's gone quiet, only making big appearances like his pop-out concert and the Not Like Us video. Meanwhile, Drake's been dropping track after track, still trying to reclaim some footing. First, Drake tries to troll by hopping on the BBL Drizzy remix with Sexy Red, and it completely flops. Didn't even crack the Billboard Top 50. That's rare for Drake, One of the few times in years that a track with his name on it missed the charts like that. But hey, maybe that was just a feature, right? Surely his solo comeback would crush Kendrick's numbers, right? Then he drops Wah Gwandalila, a full-on parody record. We've never heard Drake in that kind of confused space before. It felt like he was either trolling or scrambling to make light of the situation. Either way, it backfired. Instead of looking clever, it made him look lost. Like bros turning into the Weird Al of rap. And just when you thought he'd tighten up, Drake linked with pop stars hoping to chase that old global magic from hits like One Dance, Controlla, and Passion Fruit. But it didn't land. Not even close. He dropped tracks with Camila Cabello and Gordo, both aimed at that international house vibe. Maybe they were never meant to hit in the US, but even overseas, they tanked. No traction, no buzz, just straight up flops. And what's worse, before releasing those tracks, Drake previewed them in snippets, trying to read the crowd. That tells you everything. He wasn't confident. He was fishing for approval, and still missed the mark. Drake's been in a weird space ever since that clash with Kendrick. It's like the loss shook him so hard, he doesn't know what'll hit anymore. He's been testing the waters, dropping songs, teasing snippets, but nothing's catching fire. Then finally, he gets back to solo rap mode and drops It's Up. This was supposed to be the spark for round 2. He came at A$AP Rocky again, then followed up with Blue Green Red, responding to Kendrick's shots in Meet the Grams. These records are packed with subliminals, and fans have been breaking them all down left and right. If you want the full breakdown, hit the other vids. We've been dissecting every bar. But let's talk about Drake's mindset right now. After dropping those records, it's clear he's not done, not even close. He followed up with another batch of music, and on the same day, he posts on his burner IG account, "We will win Game 2." What else could that mean? Drake's basically telling the world, he's still swinging. Every new track is packed with sneaky disses, trying to shift the narrative. He's not dropping just for fun. He's trying to rewrite the ending. Trump posted something wild on Truth Social that weirdly fits this whole Drake versus Kendrick situation. He said, when a prizefighter loses a fight, the first words out of their mouth is, "I want a rematch." And that's exactly what Drake's been doing. When Drake hinted at Game 2, he wasn't being subtle. He was basically saying, "I'm coming back, and this time, I'm winning." Even months after the dust settled, there's been zero closure for Drake. Not Like Us was Kendrick burying him, plain and simple. Drake tried to fight back with The Heart Part 6, but fans saw through it. It felt like he was playing defense, not offense. And because of that, he's still chasing resolution. Round 2? That's his only option now. He's aiming to win after the smoke clears by outshining Kendrick musically. In his mind, winning round 2 doesn't mean more diss tracks. It means becoming the bigger, better artist in the long run. He wants to prove he's still got the juice, that he can outlast Kendrick and dominate the charts again. But here's where it gets crazy. Since May, Drake's dropped nearly 20 tracks. About 12 of them had him as the main voice. That's practically an entire album worth of music. Dropped post-beef, all in an attempt to swing public opinion back in his favor. Drake tried to play it slick, dropping his first few comeback tracks on Instagram before pushing them to streaming a week later. But behind the scenes, you can bet he and his label are scrambling. These songs are flopping by Drake standards, and they know it. Even his best performing track, It's Up, only peaked at number 28, and it's been sliding down ever since. That's a huge drop-off for someone used to owning the top 10. Think about it. 12 tracks, and none cracked the top 20. To put that in perspective, Nothing Was the Same had 12 songs too. Now imagine if none of those hits charted. That's the level of disappointment we're talking about. It's not just about numbers. Drake isn't making music at the same level he once did. The magic just isn't hitting like it used to. Now sure, some might say the rollout was weird. Instagram first, then streaming. And the initial batch had some features, so maybe that explains it? But then you look at Kendrick. He dropped his latest track exclusively on Instagram and pulled more views in 24 hours than all 5 of Drake's Instagram drops combined. And the wave didn't stop there. Not Like Us flew back to #1 on Apple Music 4 months after it dropped. That's wild. Like I said before, Round 2 doesn't mean another back and forth with diss tracks. It's deeper than that now. Both Drake and Kendrick are continuing their careers, but they're moving in totally different directions. And that's what this next chapter is really about. Drake and Kendrick represent two opposite energies in hip-hop. So the real question is, whose legacy will shape the future of the genre? Will Drake stay the top-selling rapper, still influencing the next wave? Or is it Kendrick's time to rise even higher, leading the game with a message that hits harder with the next generation? So far, the numbers are loud and clear. Between the diss tracks and even the random Instagram drops, Kendrick is crushing it commercially. And that's a shock considering how dominant Drake's been in the past. Even after the Pusha T beef, he still outsold both Pusha and Kanye easily. But now, it's different. Kendrick's pulling chart numbers that feel like a shift in power. Now about this so-called round 2, academics started hyping up new Kendrick music, saying an album is on the way. But DJ Head jumped in on Twitter and shut that down fast, saying Kendrick doesn't talk to anyone, especially not academics. Academics wasn't having it. He clapped back, claiming he's the single greatest journalist ever. The drama's not just between the rappers now. The media's starting their own beef too. Academics claimed he had real insiders feeding him info straight from Kendrick's camp. He swore up and down that a new Kendrick album was on the way, and even vowed to leak anything he heard before Kendrick could drop it himself. All this came after DJ Head clowned him online, questioning his credibility. Academics didn't take that lightly. As revenge, he promised to expose every upcoming Kendrick move. Said he'd be the first to break all the news before Kendrick had the chance to roll it out himself. But here's the twist. Just days later, Kendrick announced he'd be performing at the Super Bowl and dropped a new track too. And guess what? Academics didn't leak anything. No early info, no exclusive scoop, just silence. At the same time, while Kendrick was making big moves, Academics was hyping up Drake like crazy. Drake had just dropped Circadian Rhythm, No Face, and Sud, and Academics was calling it a comeback. He said Drake was ready for round 2 and praised all the subtle disses packed into those records. Even after Kendrick's Super Bowl announcement, Academics wouldn't let up. He tweeted again, "Round 2, watch out for it." Kendrick made it clear in his Super Bowl trailer, "There's only one chance to win a championship, no round 2." That line hit hard, and suddenly, Academics flipped the script again. Right after Kendrick's trailer dropped, Academics got back on stream and said, "Round 2 isn't happening." Not from Drake's side. He said Drake's not going back and forth with Kendrick again and called anyone who believes otherwise stupid. But hold up. Just days earlier, Academics was hyping up round 2 heavy. Literally right after Kendrick's Super Bowl announcement, he tweeted that it was coming. So what happened? If Drake's not dropping more diss records, what does winning round 2 even mean? Why the switch up? There's really only two ways to look at it. First possibility, round 2 means both Drake and Kendrick are about to drop new albums. And just like when Kendrick hit back with Meet the Grams 30 minutes after Family Matters, Drake might be planning to release his project right alongside Kendrick's. Maybe it's strategic. He could be trying to take attention away from Kendrick's rollout and grab headlines of his own. The second possibility, round 2 is about impact. Who's going to dominate musically after the battle? Who's going to sell more, get more cultural love, and drop the project that actually sticks? This isn't just about who had the hardest diss track. It's now about who controls the future of hip-hop. At the end of the day, round 2 is really about one thing. Who will the culture ride with long-term? Both Kendrick and Drake threw their shots, laid out their cases, and tried to expose each other. Now it's about legacy. Who will have the bigger impact when the dust settles? Like Kendrick said on Like That, Prince outlive Mike Jack. It's not about the moment, it's about who lasts. But here's a twist. Drake never actually said round 2. He said we will win game 2. That's a big difference. And now Kendrick's locked in to perform at the Super Bowl in front of 100 million people. So what's Drake planning? Well, think about this. The World Cup is coming to Toronto in 2026, and it pulls even more global viewers than the Super Bowl. Drake's already connected with the team organizing the World Cup in his city. Could Game 2 mean he's saving his biggest move for that? Maybe he wants to make his own Super Bowl level impact. Just bigger. Yeah, it sounds like conspiracy talk, but it's not that far-fetched. Let me know what you think. And speaking of big stages, MAL from the Rory and Mail podcast, who's known for being a more unbiased OV fan than academics, said something interesting. Apparently, Drake's been offered the Super Bowl stage multiple times, but turned it down each time. So the word is, Drake's allegedly been offered the Super Bowl 4 times and turned it down every single time. But here's the real question. Was that before or after Jay-Z joined the NFL's board to help pick performers? And why would Drake reject something that massive? The Super Bowl stage isn't just a concert. It's one of the biggest cultural moments in the world. Mel from the Rory and Mail podcast says Drake passed it up to show he's unbothered by Kendrick's moment, that he's already above it. But let's be honest, that sounds like cap. Why would Drake turn down the Super Bowl when he literally rapped on first-person shooter that he's as big as the Super Bowl? That makes no sense. It reminds me of the stadium talk. People always ask why Drake doesn't do full stadium tours like Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, or The Weeknd. He's huge, so why just stick to arenas? Simple. Drake might be massive, but his global pull isn't quite at that elite tier. Stadiums need worldwide demand, and when it comes to aligning with the NFL's brand, family-friendly, corporate-safe, sponsor-approved, Drake doesn't quite fit the mold. It's not just about size, it's about image. And right now, the NFL seems way more comfortable putting Kendrick on their biggest stage than Drake. So no, this isn't Drake being too big for the Super Bowl. It might be the Super Bowl being too careful for him. Lately, Drake's moves online have been real suspicious, full of post and delete energy. First, he dropped the "We will win Game 2" message, then deleted it. Next, he shared a screenshot of his label trying to remove his songs from Instagram to push them to streaming. But that post vanished too. Then the tracks quietly appeared on streaming with a bizarre description. If you don't want to sort through Drake's 100-gigabyte data dump online, you can hear the songs right here on Apple Music. That felt more like shade from his own label than promotion. Something's clearly off behind the scenes. Then there's No Face featuring Playboi Carti. But once it hit streaming, Carti's verse was gone. That's extra shady when you consider Carti is signed to A$AP Rocky, who Drake already dissed, and has ties to Kendrick too. Now the bigger question is, who's even still in Drake's corner? There's talk that he might be beefing with Lil Yachty. Fans noticed Yachty unfollowed Drake, and suddenly Drake's verse with him on So D got cut. Then people speculated about tension with Lil Wayne after Wayne dropped a track with YBN Cordae rapping, "You a teddy bear? A Teddy Graham." But that turned out to be old news. Wayne recorded that back in 2021, and since then, he's toured and been spotted with Drake plenty. So that's probably nothing. Drake was recently seen rocking an XO chain gifted by The Weeknd, despite the fact that the two have a very public history of beef. So now fans are confused. Are they cool again or what? And with Yachty and Playboi Carti possibly turning on him, the list of close allies is looking thin. Nicki Minaj did defend Drake and Lil Wayne after they didn't get the Super Bowl slot. But let's not forget, just weeks before that she was calling him Ugly Boy on Instagram and throwing shots over his collab with Lotto. So where does she really stand? That raises the question, who's left in Drake's corner? Who can he still tap to blend sounds with, the way he's done for years to elevate his music? The pool is shrinking, and if he keeps catching heat from rappers and fans, finding collaborators and defenders is going to get even tougher. Even his own fan base is confused. On Reddit, some Drake fans are questioning his whole decision to respond to Kendrick in the first place, saying it was a massive misstep. One post even said fans in Italy, who had never listened to Drake, were suddenly asking about the PDF file rapper from America. That's how far the damage spread. And check this. On Academic's stream, one viewer tried putting it into perspective, saying if Drake loses Academics, he loses the media war altogether. That would leave him without a major player shaping public opinion in his favor. It's hard to pin down exactly what's going on with Drake right now, but one thing's clear: confusion is running the show. Academics, who's been one of Drake's loudest supporters, might finally be waking up. Drake's reportedly falling out with old friends like Lil Wayne and Lil Yachty. He's beefing with his own label. His rollout feels shaky. The new music? Flopping. And the message keeps changing. One day he's claiming he'll win Game 2. The next day he's acting like there is no Game 2. All while keeping an eye on Kendrick, not knowing what move is coming next. This is uncharted territory for Drake. He's never looked this unsure. If there's one word to sum it all up, confusion. He doesn't seem to know who's really in his corner anymore. He's second-guessing how to drop music, which sound to chase, and whether or not he should even keep going at Kendrick. But most importantly, he looks unsure about what all this means for his legacy. Now y'all can decide for yourselves in the comments. But for me, I've said it before, Drake needs another Nothing Was the Same moment. Just 12 focused tracks, solid 40 and Boy Wonder production. Rapping, singing, but most importantly, real introspection. Look at Kendrick. He gave us Not Like Us, a summer anthem full of fire. But now he's dialing it back, reflecting with a calmer tone. That's evolution. That's balance. I'd love to see a different side of Drake right now. Some real vulnerability, a little growth, some self-reflection. Instead of another track like No Face, where he's out here doing his best Playboi Carti impression, or that housekeeping song with Lotto trying to recreate In My Feelings Pete 2. And honestly, I don't need the pop collabs with Camila Cabello, or the troll records like Wah Guan Delilah with Sexy Red. Every drop lately has felt like the opposite of what fans really want from him. If Drake truly wants to come back stronger than ever, he's gotta show us the human side again. Not the flashy, icy version. We've seen that. We need the artist who opens up, the one who reflects. Because let's be real, when Drake says his therapist quit on him for only talking about beef, money, and women, that's not flexing. That's just proving Kendrick's point. But that's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you want to see from Drake next? What do you think Kendrick's next move will be? And hey, drop your own goals for the year too. Let's talk. Catch y'all in the next one.